All right. What's good, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. On March 10th of 2025, I got a DM from my best friend Johnathan, and it was a very simple message that he sent me on Instagram. He sent me this story from Porter Robinson announcing that he was doing a makeup show for his Smile tour in Chicago. And I was kind of wondering, what does this have to do with me? What is this? Why are you sending me this? And then he followed it up with a very simple message. Let's go. Why am I seriously contemplating this? We then spent the next few minutes kind of ping-ponging ideas and strategies for how exactly this would go down and the financials of it. But we ultimately decided that we were going to make our ultimate decision on Wednesday, when the tickets for the makeup show were going to go live. Then, once you know it, Wednesday rolls around and I'm looking on Spirit Airlines and I find these beauties, okay? A Friday night flight up and a Monday morning flight back, both for $54 each. And in that moment, where me and Johnathan both knew this was going to be the best case scenario, we had to make a decision, okay? Were we going to fly across the country, find out different ways to live, to get around this unknown place, all to see a show that we have both already experienced? Were we going to make this risk? I mean, I think you guys know the answer. I mean, do you see the shirt I'm wearing? Do you see this poster? I mean,
Johnathan, say hi.
We're in Japan, bro. We're in Japan.
Right, so the initial plan, very simple, okay? We were going to fly up Friday night, get there around midnight, spend the night at the airport, leave early in the morning to start exploring Chicago, see Millennium Park, eat some cool shit, just kind of drink in the sights. And then eventually, when the time's right, we're gonna head on over to the Salt Shed and see Porter Robinson. That was the plan. And originally, it was all going great, okay? Johnathan picks me up. We both eat some Publix chicken. That shit was busting. And we get driven on over to the airport, and everything's looking good. I'll say the only hiccup in our plan at this point so far was that the flight itself had been delayed 30 minutes. But really, that wasn't that big of a deal. We were there really early, like 4 hours before the flight, so it was just a matter of waiting until 9:30 or 10 o'clock at that point and getting on our plane. And then it got delayed again and again and again and again and again and again. By the time it was all said and done, our 9:30 flight started boarding at around 1:30 in the morning. I mean, listen, not all of it was bad, right? There was good parts to it. I got to play the Switch, okay? I got to watch the Maple Leafs force Game 7 before they choked it all away. I got to, bump some great music. I got to spend some time with my buddy. All right, it wasn't all bad, but oh my God, it threw a serious wrench in our plans because I could not fall asleep. We were supposed to both be asleep in the O'Hare airport by like midnight, and we were boarding at 2, and I was wide awake. I was wired.
So what's the situation right now?
My switch don't work, bro. You still recording, bro? You still recording? You still recording? Oh, you want to see what I can do?
Regardless though, we get on this plane and we both fall asleep and get, we get a varying amount of sleep, each of us. I think Johnathan sleeps for most of this flight that was now 4 hours long for some reason. And then I sleep for about half of it because turbulence wakes me up. And for some reason, I'm just drifting in and out of consciousness, listening to just the craziest shit from my playlist. Like shit I even forgot I had it in there.
Gotta put 5 for my dog and them, get the fuck up out my way, bitch.
But ultimately, we land at about 6 o'clock and we immediately hop on an Uber to head to Millennium Park. Now, if you guys don't know what Millennium Park is, I'll make it simple for you. You know this big ass bean? Yeah, that's that's Millennium Park. Before I get to talking about the bean, which was, you know, so cool that deserves its own section in the video, I must say, dude, we get out of this Uber, right, me and Johnathan, and we're walking onto these essentially empty streets because it's 6:30 in the morning, and both of us are just stunned. Okay, I mean, we all know what it's kind of like to live in a city, right? We live near Orlando, and that's cool in its own way, but it does not stack up to the sights of this city, dude. The architecture, the views of these buildings, the different styles on display. Every corner you turn is like a different mind-blowing metropolis view. It was the craziest experience for both of us, like right off the bat, to just be like, wow, this is really, we really did this. We really made it to Chicago, you know what I mean? But no, you get over that. We get to the bean, we start taking some pictures, you know, that thing's pretty cool, honestly. And I'm glad we got to see it before it got very like touristy, because I get the feeling that if you're trying to see it while there's like a bazillion people around, you don't necessarily get the full extent of how cool it is. You're just trying to get in and get your picture and get the fuck out of there. But we were really able to drink it in, and it was really just us and a security guard and this one cool ass photographer from either North or South Carolina who took our picture. So shout out to that dude, cool ass guy. Anyway, we do that, we take some more pictures. Hopefully you appreciate them. Me and Johnathan worked really hard on them, and we decided to go sit down at Starbucks and game plan for the day. What are we going to do? For Johnathan, the game plan was really simple, just like, you know, walk around, see the city, you know, just like really live in the moment, right? But for me, it was a little more complicated because I understood that, you know, walking around and wandering a city like this, it could have been a little dangerous, you know what I mean? And our point was kind of proven right off the bat when we decided we wanted something to eat, so we were going to walk from the Starbucks to the McDonald's, bro. We had like 2 homeless people walk up to us. They were low-key tweaking, and then when we got to this McDonald's, bro, there was this dude staring at a fly from the other side of the McDonald's window, just fucking locked into it. And that was like the craziest thing to me. I was like, dude, oh my god, did we make a mistake coming here? Are we good, bro? But you know, after we both ate the McDonald's and then we got to walking, Johnathan convinced me. He was like, you know, instead of just heading straight back to the Starbucks and then just locking down there for a few hours, why don't we, you know, take the scenic route? Why don't we walk along the river, get to see these buildings and absorb the atmosphere? And I'm so glad he made that suggestion, because that opened the door to everything. By this point, it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock. So all the working people and the tourists were starting to come out now. And dude, now that the streets were like more busy and you could really see people living in this environment, it really lit up the place. I don't know how else to describe it. Walking along that street in the morning was like the coolest thing to me. Like, was like an advanced version of the feeling that we had when we got out the car and we first like really got to drink in the sights, you know what I mean? Each time we're walking further left, there's another building behind another building behind another building, and they all look so different from each other, so distinct. And me and him are just taking hella pictures, trying to capture it all in the moment. He's trying to look swag the fuck out. I'm just trying to look fine, you know what I mean? But no, that was really cool. And ultimately, because that was so cool, we ended up taking a detour. Instead of heading back to the Starbucks, we ended up going down to the actual Riverwalk, and that was crazy. We got to walk under all these cool bridges. We got to see all these cool venues. There's this, like, playground set up kind of near like a parking underpass, and for some reason it reminded me of like Monogatari, where it's like these abstract playground that you almost can't imagine kids playing on, but when you're walking around it all just makes sense in your head, you know what I mean? Actually, what if I sound like a crazy person? I don't care. It was cool. It was really cool. Finally, we walk out from the Riverwalk and we start trying to head back over to the Starbucks as we originally planned, but we run into a hiccup. And it's that Jonathan's camera is running low on batteries, and when the vibes are that immaculate with that camera and we're capturing all these cool things with that camera, that's a big no-no. We can't let that stand. So we take another detour. We find this little grocery store called Minerio, something like that. I'll put the name on screen. But we stop there. We get some batteries and some energy drinks because God knows we're gonna need them later. And after that, we take our second walk through Millennium Park. But this time we're going from the opposite side, right? I don't know if it's a different park or not, but we were walking through the other side of it. It had like this rock climbing area, this roller skating area, and like a bunch of little playgrounds that all led into this big metal bridge over the road that led into like the Cloud Gate and this like really cool big structure made of like big black bricks that water was falling down from, and it had this big face projected on it that looked like fucking Larry Bird. But no, it was like every part of the experience was like leading into each other, and it was just really surreal, especially when you're running on fumes, kind of like me and him were. And it's just like you almost feel a little delusional walking around and you're seeing all this crazy shit happening, not even happening in front of you, just like being there in front of you. And it was really all just a sight and an experience to behold. But eventually we make it back to the Starbucks. It was a little too busy, so we actually decided to set up shop in a Raising Cane's, and I fall asleep. This is the first time I've ever fallen asleep in public, but I put my head down at that Cane's and I fell asleep for like half an hour, dude. And I'm not the kind of guy to take smaller naps. Usually if I take a nap, I'm like passed out for like an hour and a half or 2 hours. Dude, that 30-minute nap, crack. It was crack. Oh my God, it changed the whole trip. If I did not take that 30-minute nap, dude, I'm not making it to the end of that day, okay? I'm falling asleep in an Uber. We're getting kidnapped, yo. But anyway, we take about an hour in the Cane's. I have to spend like 26 cents to get water when you gotta pay for a basic human right in the fucking metropolis. But no, eventually we finish up there. We drop by this cool comic shop that's been eyeing us across the street. I was trying to see if there's Pokemon cards. Obviously there wasn't, but you know, it was still a really cool comic shop. We got to see some pretty dope figures and some cool manga series, some stuff in print that I personally haven't seen in a minute. And then after that, we're like, you know, we should probably do like one more thing before we head back and eat our meal for the day. So we decided to stop by the Chicago Cultural Center. This was one of like the big 3 places that we looked up that was like cool free things to do in Chicago, and man, I'm glad we did. That place was sick, dude. A lot of the art in there was a little heady for me. It was a little much for me to understand, especially on the first floor. But when you got up to that second floor and you start seeing these like cathedral-like structures with stained glass and stuff carved into the wall, and like these really poetic sayings etched in gold next to all of it. It was wild. It like didn't fit at all with anything that we had seen thus far, but it was the coolest thing, dude. I've said that like 5 times. If I had a counter, I'd be fucking embarrassed with myself right now. But it's the truth. It was really cool. They actually had a wedding rented out on the top floor, so we didn't get to see all of it, but we got to see enough of it where it was like by the time we were done, we'd really felt like we'd seen the full breadth of this place and really got to experience just how dope it was. If you're ever there, it's 100% worth dropping by, especially because it's free. Really, really dope stuff there. But then it was time for us to eat. Beforehand, we were gonna be like, okay, we are in Chicago. Why don't we try to get some Chicago food? You know what I mean? Chicago dog or deep dish. You know what we ended up eating? We ended up eating egg sandwiches. Previously around our long walk, we passed by a place called Egg Tuck, and I was like, okay, you know, this place looks pretty cool. And Jonathan's like, yo, why don't we eat there? So we go there for lunch. We both get some egg and bacon sandwiches and then some loaded tots, and holy shit, dude, those eggs were godlike. Okay, they were the best eggs I ever had. That sandwich was delicious. We drastically underestimated how much that was going to fill us up. Okay, the bread that was sandwiching the eggs and the bacon was drenched in butter. Okay, and it made the sandwich itself hard to finish, and it wasn't even that big. It was like it's like this big. Okay, this big, and we were having trouble finishing it because it was so heavy, but it was so good, and we could barely finish the tater tots too. Man, we were walking out of there fucking waddling. We were like, we are not going to need to eat anything for the rest of the day, and luckily we didn't. So it worked out in that way, but also it was like, oh my god, how are we gonna be able to get around when we're fucking filled to the brim with eggs and bread and shit. After that, we ended up exploring a little more. We walked further down this one bridge, like over the river, and we ended up seeing even more crazy sights. We saw like the Chicago Tribune, we saw the MSNBC building, CBS building, something like that. You know, the one that looks like a peacock. That one. We saw that building, and yeah, I think that was the most breathtaking sights that we probably saw the whole time that we were there. I think just there was so much variety and height between building to building, and the way the light was coming down between all of it made it feel like damn near angelic. Oh my god, it was the wildest thing, dude. Hopefully on screen I should be playing this 360 video I took of it, and hopefully that just gives you the full breadth of the situation, like why I'm almost at a loss for words trying to find the right things to say about it. It was really, really, really cool. But by this point in time, it was coming around 4 o'clock, 4:30, and me and him decided, all right, it is time to head to the salt shed. Kind of. But not really. You see, I had found this thing called Bounce. It's this service where they pay like a bunch of random local individual services, and for a small fee, they'll hold your bags for however long you pay for, right? And a lot of these Bounce locations are only open as long as the businesses are. So some of them are open to 9 to 10 to 11, whatever, right? But because of this concert and the day that we had planned ahead of us, something like that just wasn't going to work. We needed a 24-hour location, and luckily there was one about a mile and a half away from the venue. So we go there, and it is this sketchy ass bodega called Sherry's. Okay, so me and Johnathan are like, okay, let's make sure we take out all the important stuff just in case. And luckily it ended up working out. We had a rough time communicating with the person at the front, but ultimately we got our bags away and we began our walk all the way to the salt shed. Halfway through, we stopped at Target to try and get some Pokemon cards. It did not work out. What did we expect? And then we continued our walk until finally, about 10 minutes before the door opened, at about 4:50, we arrived and lined up for Porter Robinson. And man, I gotta say, dude, I love like being in a concert atmosphere. I love being around like all these people who are essentially here for one reason. We are all united in our love for this artist, this experience, this want to do something special at this location, and then the excitement and hype that builds from that many people being like so contained for that. I don't know if I'm explaining this properly, but like really it's special, man. It's the reason why I like going to concerts and why I try to go to as many as I can for the artist that I love so much, right? Especially when you really, really, really love that artist, kind of like I do when I go to a JPEG show or a Quedeca or Porter Robinson. I mean, that's the whole reason we did this trip, right? Because this experience for this artist that we love, that is special. So we get in, we try and get as close to the front as we can, and both of us were set by the time the opener for the show came out, Frost Children. Now, a little insight on me and Frost Children. I don't know anything about that. The depth of my knowledge with Frost Children goes as deep as this. I like their feature on Mona Lisa, and I really, really, really like Shake It Like A. I really, really like that song. You guys would know this if you watch Top Songs 2024. But yeah, like I really didn't know that much about them and their music, and I tried to listen to a little bit of like their most popular songs beforehand, but it just wasn't really hitting for me at the moment. So I just decided, you know what, I'll go in raw. I'll do my best to enjoy it. I'll do my best to get hyped for them. And my God, that worked out flawlessly because their opener, Electric, oh my God, I don't know how I felt being anyone else in that venue. I was totally in my own world at that point. That opener, dude, it sent shockwaves through my fucking body. It was so dope. And at that point, I was all in, right? So I'm like trying to not record every single song. I'm trying to live in the moment. But at a certain point, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, right? I'm pretty much just holding my phone up, and then otherwise I'm living in the moment. So I'm like, I'm gonna record everything that I think sounds great. And I'm glad I did, because I got to record Flatline. I got to record Fox Bop, which I thought they did really, really well. And And of course, I got to record Shake It Like a Bro. I got to hear that song live. And even though they skipped the Danny Brown verses, it was still electric. I feel like people were the most turned up for that song. And I was really, really happy about that. I was jumping, I was screaming Shake It Like a, even though I told myself beforehand I wasn't gonna scream because I know it was gonna come out like dog ass in my phone recording. But at that point I didn't care because it was so much fun. After Shake It Like a, I kind of lost a little bit of investment in the show, but there's still highlights. They played another couple of unreleased songs that I thought were good. I think one of them was called Tank
Over,
and the other one was called Terminal. I thought Terminal was really, really good. I want to make sure I hear that once that one is released. But yeah, I think Terminal ended that part of the show, and then Frost Children was off. Great openers in my opinion. Johnathan was kind of telling me in the intermission between them and Porter coming out that the crowd didn't really seemed that hyped for them, and honestly that's kind of disappointing because I felt like they put on a great performance. I thought the sound was great. I thought their drummer had so much personality. He was giving on the fucking performance of a lifetime for them. And yeah, dude, they put on a good enough performance that I'm very willing to listen to whatever they release next. Like, they were great, they were awesome, but ultimately they were not what people came for. And I think that was very, very, very evident once the background song that was playing started to echo the word smile over and over again, and it was clear that Porter Robinson was coming out. Now, as someone who has seen this show twice, I feel like I have a little bit of a unique perspective on both performances, and I think the biggest difference between both of them was that I think for the main portion of the Smile tour, they had this like big billboard prop that Porter was able to actually like walk on, and it was displaying stuff, and then behind it was this huge screen that kind of supplemented it. But I think because this was a makeup show and because it was a little bit out of the way, the billboard prop was not present. It was just another part of the screen, and I think in certain songs it did help out, and I will point that out when I get to those songs. But I think it did lose a little bit of the charm there and a little bit of the edge, and for that Orlando is always going to have a special place in my heart, besides the fact that I was seeing it with two of my best friends, right? However, I will say the moment that the show started, it became very evident to me that me and Johnathan made a very good choice coming to this concert, okay? Being on the floor, totally different experience. It made everything so much more fun. Being able to jump with everyone, being able to really sing into a choir of voices, that unreal. As for specific highlights of this portion of the show, obviously Knock Yourself Out was awesome. Mona Lisa was super dope, especially considering that Frost Children got to come back out and do their part live, and then you roll that together with the fact that Mona Lisa live has a completely different like hard style ending that just completely lights the crowd on fire. Then obviously you have the heavy like emotional hitters. Year of the Cup was great. Russian Roulette almost made me cry, but like obviously it's going to almost make me cry. I love that song. And Everything to Me and Easier to Love You were really, really special because earlier in the show, this guy on the floor was handing out these pink hearts. Actually, let me go get mine. He was handing out these babies that people were supposed to put in front of their flashlights, and it made all of them like pink colored, and honestly it was really cute. Porter put it pretty simply. He was just like, this is the cutest thing ever, and I agreed. It brought a specific vibe to that whole part of the show, and it was really, really special. It made especially those two songs a lot more emotionally potent to me. The only complaint that I have with the Smile portion of the show, well, actually I have two. The first one was something that could not be controlled, in that it wasn't dark outside yet. I feel like the show got drastically better once the sun went down. But no, the real only complaint I had with the Smile section of the tour has to do with Is There Really No Happiness, right? One of my favorite songs on Smile, and it had this really, really awesome intro portion to it at the Orlando show, and presumably for all the other locations, where it's just like this text on the billboard, and it's bringing up all this nostalgic things. And the big one near the end of it was like, do you remember that Porter show that we saw in 2024? And I think about that screen a lot, and that picture that I have of that a lot, just because I think it struck something really potent, and it related to the song really well. And it also related to specifically me and Johnathan really well, because we did remember that Porter concert we went to in 2024. We remembered it so much and had so many great feelings about it that we decided to go see it again. But no, that intro was absent in the Chicago show, and that was a little disappointing. But I didn't really even notice it at the time. It was more so when I was looking back at videos of the show that I was like, well, damn, that's not there. That kind of sucks. Anyway, the smile portion wraps up, and we go into the nurture section. Sun's finally down, and this is where shit got real, okay? He goes straight into musician, and the crowd hits another energy level, okay? They jump to another ceiling that I did not know that they had, okay? Everyone was jumping around, people were bumping into each other, and it was cool. Like, this was like why we came there, okay? This was the energy we were chasing the whole time. Then after he played another song, he did this very special intro for Everything Goes On, where he took this notebook from the crowd, and it just said very simply on it. And then right after he went right into performing his league song. So that was great. That was electric. But I feel like I didn't really get special until that set hits Get Your Wish, right? If you guys didn't know, the version of Get Your Wish that he plays in the concert is like, it's like a J-pop, J-rock version of Get Your Wish that I actually drastically prefer to the original version. And hearing that live again, that was really special, especially when you got all these people around you who are hearing this for the first time. They had no idea this was coming, and they're all just freaking out. Then right after that, we get to Unfold. Now, if you guys don't know this about me, Unfold is my favorite Porter Robinson song, and I got emotional. I teared up listening to it live again, and just really living in that moment. I don't even think I don't remember if I chose not to record that one, or if it was a different song on the tour that I chose not to record. But yeah, no, I really wanted to live in that moment and really experience that song, and I'm glad I did, because it was something, man. However, again, if I'm gonna complain about something, my only complaint in the other version of the show, dude, he had people sing the chorus of Unfold until they couldn't anymore, and he didn't do that in Chicago. I feel like we would have went so long. We would have went like 5 minutes singing that shit, dude. But whatever, did not ruin the experience at all. I still loved it. I also got a brand new appreciation for his performance of Trying to Feel Alive, because for some reason I'd written that song off back in September, but now I like really appreciate it. I think it's one of the better songs on Nurture. So hearing that into Look at the Sky, oh man, that was woo. Then to close out the Nurture section, he had the people do a vote, right? Did we want to hear a stripped back piano version of Mother, of Sweet Time, or of Mirror? Now, I love Mirror. I really, really love Mirror. So I was screaming for it. Didn't end up winning. Mother won out, which was fine. But it didn't end up mattering anyway, because he played Mother and then he said, fuck it. And then he ended up playing Mirror anyway, which got complimented really well by this guitar solo that Rafa did at the end of it to really bring it home. I thought that was a great way to end the Nurture section. Also a great way to end the nurture section was pause the cat getting fucking killed and Porter being really upset about it.
Y'all can at least do it gently. Hey, what the fuck?
Then we move on to the final section of the show, the world section. Okay. Now, a little secret about me. At the Orlando show, at that point, I had literally never listened to Worlds before. Of course, I had heard Sad Machine and I had heard Divinity before just in my life on the internet, but I'd never really listened and loved Worlds before that show. But going into this one, obviously now, I love that album. I think that album's awesome. So I really got to fully appreciate that section of the show and how like dope everything was, especially the intro part where he does Sea of Voices into like this more band-oriented version of Divinity. That part is so cool. However, I think the real crowning achievement of the world section of the tour is this like three-legged section where it goes Hollow Heart into Language into
Goodbye to a World.
That whole section of the show, like that 15-minute stretch, unreal. Hollow Heart being performed with the female vocalist on stage with like Porter kind of backing her up, it makes a world of difference into like how emotional that song is. And then transitioning that right into Language, dog. Hey guys, I'm recording this part about a month later because I finally got around to editing this and my dumbass realized, one, it wasn't even Sad Machine in that three-legged monster, it was fucking Goodbye to a World. And two, I didn't even talk about Sad Machine, like holy shit. But anyway, Goodbye to a World, God, I can't believe I misremembered that. Goodbye to a World is like, and I hate to overuse this term, but it was pretty much the emotional climax of the show, especially the drop. You could really tell like everyone was letting out a lot of emotions at that part, and I think the video sells it pretty well. Everyone's just going fucking crazy. Here, I'll show it to you right now. And then as for that
Into Sad Machine,
you could tell a lot of people were getting very emotionally vindicated at this moment, especially if they were Porter fans since Worlds and they had been listening to Sad Machine for over a decade of their life. You could really tell that for a lot of people that was a very cathartic, very exciting moment. So being there surrounded by people where that was like their experience, that was really cool.
I don't know much about your life beyond these walls. Fleeting sense of love within these thoughts you're saying.
But of course, it doesn't end with Sad Machine. He walks off stage. We're like, one more song. And of course, Shelter happens. And this is a part of the show that I will compliment specifically Chicago for, because for the Shelter portion, what happens is the Shelter girl walks out and then she starts interacting with the stage until finally the song starts. And the visuals for it in the Orlando version, I mean, they're spectacular, obviously, but because of the billboard setup, the girl on the right side, it kind of feels like she's hiding from the crowd, but it didn't feel like that at the Chicago show. She was just on the screen, everything's flowing. It was a very overwhelming, exciting visual experience.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
And that led directly into Cheerleader, and oh man, dude, Cheerleader was crazy. He told us to
Open up that fucking pit, let's go.
the Cheerleader mosh, dude. That was a special memory. I got elbowed into the chest. I thought it broke my ribs. It was awesome. Now you guys might be thinking, okay, show's over. You had a lot of fun. Now you guys gotta head to the airport. But that's where you're wrong, because I've actually been hiding something from you guys for this entire video. You see, about a week before we left on the trip, Porter made a second announcement. He was not only going to play a show in Chicago, but he was doing an after show. Porter was doing a DJ set after the concert. Now, here's a little fun fact about me and Johnathan. We've been trying to figure out how to go to a Porter DJ set for months at this point, and this opportunity fell beautifully into our laps. So at this point, it did not matter that the venue was 7 miles away from where we currently were. We were going straight to this DJ set. So despite how tired we were, despite how crowded it was, we get in that lift and we go straight to the Ramova Theater. At this point, both of us are running on like the fumes of fumes. Okay, Johnathan is asleep in the car. I am like running off the high of cheerleader that is eventually going to run out. And I'm scared as hell, okay? Like I'm scared I'm gonna pass out in the middle of this DJ set. But you put that aside, right? We get there. It was a really, really cool venue. You look around, it's just this really dope kind of setting that you don't see too often. Well, maybe you do if you have a life, but when you don't have a life like me, I mean, it was really cool experience, okay? But no, pretty shortly after we get there, the opener for the DJ set comes out. It's this guy named Czar Killer, and he was okay. Like he was getting the vibes right. He was hitting us with the basses. He was hitting us with some crazy transition. But ultimately, the energy of the crowd was so very dead. It was like 1 in every 20 people just like trying to turn up for this guy, trying to get excited. But it just did not. It was not boding well. Okay, I thought he did a good job. Like I said, I tried to turn up to some of his crazier transitions and stuff. But by the end of it, I was really getting scared because like my feet were getting sluggish. My back was really starting to hurt. I was like, dude, am I really gonna be able to make it to the end of this? And then Porter comes out. He hits us with My Name is Skrillex into One More Time. Into Best Song Ever by One Direction. And automatically, all this fatigue I'm feeling does not matter. It is like a lightning bolt went through my brain, and I realized this was not the time to be tired. I needed to wake the fuck up. And I am so glad I did. I'm going to be very honest with you. The DJ set was low-key a better experience than the concert. I'm sure I would feel differently about it if we had not both already been to this concert prior and had different experiences with different people. But dude, this DJ set, holy shit. Okay, first and foremost, I need to point out the obvious big highlights of the set for me, which were the DJ Not Porter Robinson versions of Porter songs, okay? He obviously did the Get Your Wish remix that I literally found out about like days before, and I was obsessed with. Hearing that live was unreal, and seeing people get shocked about it for the first time was crazy. Then I heard these remix versions of Musician. Is There Really No Happiness? Knock Yourself Out. I don't care anymore. I'm reading off a list, guys, okay? I have a hard time remembering this shit. Everything to me, that one was a shocker. It came out of nowhere. You can literally hear me in the recording go, everything to me. And of course, I think the best remixes that we heard that night were the Cheerleader one and the Kitsune Maison freestyle. The Kitsune Maison freestyle was a mashup with Misery Business. It came out of nowhere, it shocked everyone, and it was fucking awesome. And then Cheerleader, I mean, it was hype because it was Cheerleader, but having like this more bassier, even higher tempo version of it. They were all electric, okay? They were different, but obviously there was other different distinct highlights of the show, different parts of it that were really dope. And I really don't have too much to say about, so I'm just gonna read off the highlights to you and then show you the clips, and I'll have you decide why they were so cool, okay? First and foremost, I know I just said I wasn't gonna say anything, but I have a lot to say about this one. He did a remix of ETA by Nujabes directly after Is There Really No Happiness, and that was the best non-Porter thing I heard that night. Just that whole thing was unreal. Then there was this mashup with Hear the Bells. There was a remix that was played of Stereo Love that went into another ISOXO song that just hit like a fucking brick in the crowd. It was like a bomb going off. Then like 5 minutes after that, there was this mashup of Stutter and Birdwalk by Soulja Boy. Then there was these really bassy hits in this song called Voltage. Then there was a song that I thought was an Eric DOA song. Turns out it was the Kid Leroy in a song called
What's the Move?
Then like an hour into the show where I'm like, holy shit, is this ever going to end? He hits us with a remix of Teenage Dream by Katy Perry. And then this mashup of like 2 or 3 different remixes of this song called Satisfaction. And then getting to the like the real tail end of the show, we're like, oh my god, is this thing really coming to an end? He plays this remix of Sad Machine. It's hitting, the drops are crazy. And then he gets to the final drop, we're like, okay, how's this gonna go? And it transitions into Otonoke. It transitions into the fucking Dandadan opening. At At this point, like my emotional high has overtaken every physical part of my body, right? I am jumping around, my legs are moving crazy, my hands are doing fucking dance moves I ain't never done before. This guy to the right of me is like, is this your first rave, bro? You gotta keep going, you gotta keep going. And me and this guy, we're trading, hey, and he's like 20 years older than me. But ultimately, we get to really the final part of the show, and he hits us with his magnum opus, okay? He plays a slightly remixed version of Russian Roulette into language. You can nearly see me in this recording knock this man Johnathan out because I'm shaking him so hard. I was freaking out. I thought he was never going to play that ever again because he played it for like this New Year's DJ set he did in New York, and I thought, okay, that's it. It was like a special thing for like the drop into New Year's. So hearing that, it took me so off guard, and oh my God, it was so crazy. That concludes the craziest day of my life. Obviously, there's a little more to it, right? We find some Uber, some guy who's genuinely willing to drive us an hour to Sherry's and then an hour to the airport. Cool ass dude. Thank you so much to that guy for driving around a couple of exhausted ass, sweaty ass teenagers at 3 a.m. We get to the airport, we're both delirious, and then the next few hours are all a blur until we get home, and then I get home and I sleep 17 hours just trying to catch up on everything. But no, dude, that whole day, the entirety of Saturday, May 17th, 2025 was probably the longest, most exhausting day of my life. And at the same time, it was one of the most fun and unforgettable days ever in my entire life, okay? Being able to experience that many new things and do things you thought you'd never be able to do again, and then do even more new things that you thought were completely out of your reach. Doing all of that in one day, and doing it like at a time in both of our lives where this just seems like the stupidest thing ever to do, right? We both don't have jobs. We both really don't have that much going on. So it's like, why even go and do this? But by the end of it all, it all makes sense. Like when an adventure like that presents itself to you and you really, really want to do it, there doesn't need to be a better reason for it. You just do it. You just have a good time. And that day is going to live in my memory for the rest of my life. Obviously, shout out to Johnathan, right? That man, without him, this trip does not happen. He does not push me out of my comfort zone. We do not have as much fun as we do that day. I owe that man everything for this trip, and he is a core part of my memory for that. Like, I'm never gonna forget that day. I'm never gonna forget that he was the one I did it with. So super, super special. Thank you to you, man. Thanks, Johnathan. And that's all I got. I mean, let me know what you think of my account of the experience. Let me know if something doesn't make sense. Let me know if you want me to explain something more. Let me know if you want some videos. I mean, we got fucking over 50 videos of the Frost Children set, the Porter set, and DJ set. So if you're curious about our experience at all, I mean, just let us know. We'll send you the videos. And yeah, that's all I got. I've been talking for an hour. I'm gonna figure out how to edit this and shut the fuck up. So that's all. I don't know how to end this video. Hey guys, hey, listen to Porter Robinson, okay? It'll be the best decision you ever make in your life. Best decision ever. And yeah, take care.